Good morning. I am excited about today because today we are going to talk about taking risks in your marketing. Now, I know you, merchant, as an entrepreneur, as a creative, you are accustomed to risk taking. But as time continues to go on, and we are having to increase our communication with our customers, with our team, with our vendors, the performative nature of marketing can get very, very tiring. So for you joining me, hey, I'm excited you're here. Can you give me a thumbs up or an emoji if you are working on your marketing plan right now? I am raising my hand because I am too. And that piece of marketing in a world with uncertainty, we know is consistently true, but for some reason now, it's more nerve-wracking and we are required to take even bigger risks. So whether you are a huge planner at heart, like you love to plan, you love to be strategic, you love to have a calendar and maybe you're missing it, missing writing down things by hour or by day, or whether you're on the other end of the spectrum, whether you are a maverick, you like to fly by the seat of your pants, really what we're being called to do as creatives and what we're being called to do as entrepreneurs is show up more. And so I've invited a really special guest on today to help us explore the risky business of marketing and how to develop fans. And when we do that, we also invite some hecklers. So how to develop fans and ignore hecklers. So that's what we're doing today. I'm so excited y'all are here. Hi Samantha. Hi Sendel. Quest Campers. I'm excited you're here. Oh, Queen Faisal. Yes. Scranton Trees. Oh my gosh. Reading out loud was never my strong suit. But I'm going to say hi, Kelsey Aurora. I'm excited you're here. So that's what we're talking about today. So if you are new to Retail Charm School, it is a live video show and it's produced by me here at Merchant Method. And this is where I can help you improve your retail profit even now in this time of economic recession by revisiting the art and science of merchandising and retail. And so I come live on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. And this season, rather than really doubling down on maybe some of the things you already know, I've really wanted to invite guests that are non-merchants but have a huge heart for small business and a huge heart for merchants and just say, hey, what can we learn from you? I would love to know. And so if you feel like you're juggling and you're throwing up in the air these moving expectations around how do I even goal set? What does goal setting even look like now? If you are juggling okay, I'm implementing responsive strategies. I'm going live on video and I am, putting polls out there and I'm using stories. And if you're doing all of these things, or if you are trying experimental tactics, I'm going to try and put new products out there at this time and be really cognizant of where my customer's at, it's a lot to juggle. And so we're going to explore that with Joanna today. I just want to take a pause and said, I asked y'all for emojis and Queen Faisal's letting me know that me being new to IG Live, there are no emojis here. I'm a Facebook girl through and through. So thanks for letting me know. But she's also reminding you, and I also would want to remind you too, if you want to really listen in on this interview, but feel like you don't want your phone on lockdown, did you know that you can actually watch IG Lives on your desktop? Yes, I love it. So let me go ahead and invite Joanna on. She'll be joining us here shortly. But that's what we're gonna talk about. So thank you so much for joining me live. It's my hope that if you can't stay for this whole hour, or if you have a friend that wants to watch, that IG will give me a chance to save this on IGTV. So ask your questions now. You can do that by clicking that little question box at the bottom, or popping it in the comments. Or if you're watching the replay, just put hashtag replay. I will be on the lookout. I'm getting comments and questions from my IG last week with Jen from Sendel. So I'm going to be engaging there. So if you have questions, I'm ready to learn. I've got my pencil. I've got all this too. So before we start, I want to know if you can share what is your favorite way to market your business. Whether it was a favorite that you had coming into 2020 or a favorite that you've just come to learn. What's your favorite way to market your business? As you type, I will tell you mine. Probably maybe this is obvious. My favorite way to market my business is through live video. And it's not because I'm the most comfortable on camera. And it's not because I am the best extemporaneous speaker. But my favorite, the reason why live video is my favorite is because y'all are so good to me. You're forgiving. It allows me to be the person who I really am, which is I don't always have to have the perfect words, but you and I are getting to know each other well enough that we can fill in each other's blanks. Or I talk with my hands a lot. And so I found that a really great way for me to connect. So Samantha from Samantha Slater Studio, she wants to know any tips on attracting new customers. Usually I attract new customers at live events. How can I pivot? Ooh, okay, Samantha, can you stay? I want to address that a little bit later on. But I definitely am going to address that because I too do a fair bit of audience engagement in person and live, and it's really different now. So Quest Camper says their favorite marketing tool is Instagram. Queen Faisal's favorite marketing tool is Instagram. Kelsey Aurora loves IG and Facebook. Photo content mostly. And I love that because Kelsey understands her audience and Kelsey understands the scroll, the art of the scroll. Hi, Parisian Boutique. So for myself, most of my live video was taking place on Facebook and I am migrating it over to Instagram. And so that's been really great and fun for me. It's been different and I'm learning, so we'll see how this goes. Oh, Joanna has joined us and I'm super excited. So let me go ahead and pull Joanna in. Oh, y'all are gonna love Joanna. All right.
Hello.
Joanna, hi.
Hey.
I am so excited you're here. We have just been getting insights from merchants who are joining us on how they like to market their business right now, and their minds may change as they learn from you. So, Joanna, my question for the audience is, what's your favorite way to market? And real fast, I would love to know, what's your favorite way to market, even before we get to the juicy good stuff?
Well, that's easy. It's email, which has made me unpopular in a lot of rooms because people are very fancy. And email is kind of retro from the 90s. But it's the one place that Mark Zuckerberg can't own your ass. It is one place where you don't have to pay to play. It's free 99. And you can, store all of your customers and people who love you there and send them relevant messages, which is the point of marketing. So that's why I like email.
That's like mic drop. And Quest Camper says, yeah, girl, you're getting all the emojis and I don't know if you see them, but there's so much to be said for that. And I bet you're going to persuade some people along the way. That's just my guess. So Joanna Rutter is a pro at content marketing. I met her a few years ago and she's going to explain all about content marketing and inbound marketing. But if you have marketing questions, and we already had our first question, and I'm going to save it towards the end because it's a good one, we're going to learn a lot. And Joanna's marketing expertise ranges in all sizes of marketing campaigns and shapes and depths. And so we're going to learn a lot. She has a huge heart for merchants like you. So that's my brag on Joanna.
It was so fun to be able to reconnect with you. I mean, we met in 2017 when I was working for a retail technology company, and it was easy to Google you. I was looking for retail teachers and you came up very early in the search, which is kind of a cool Google marketing message anyway. And interviewed you for the blog and then came to Seattle to speak at a conference with you and just had so much fun meeting you. So yeah, it's good to reconnect almost 4 years later.
And it's interesting because I know a lot of us read articles and blogs that writers like you write. And I think we underestimate and don't often remember that as a writer and as a marketer, you have a huge heart for small businesses. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll like really, I'm not going to say take this for gain of salt. I'm going to say grab a pencil and grab something to write with.
And be
So,
thankful that this is being recorded.
so would
I'm
you
always
guys,
thankful for recording.
yeah, for real. Can you tell us about the work that you do now and the work that you do with Propel?
Sure. So, yeah, content marketing is the name of my game primarily since college. I started out in the nonprofit marketing space, and then did a bit of a dabble in journalism. Did a little bit of agency marketing. I wrote a lot of blog posts about Motorola phones for Verizon Wireless's blog, and yeah, and kind of tumbled into software marketing has been kind of my home base for the past 3 years, which is really interesting because you're talking to anywhere between super technical IT people and people who are just going to be touching the product just a little bit. And so that's been huge for me because I'm not an engineer, I'm not a designer. And so it's been really exciting to learn how to take the information that's out there and share it in a way that makes sense for people in our audience. So that's kind of what I do. I call myself a persuader. That's kind of my business, and that leaks into my comedy a little bit. I'm an amateur local comic here that's been started in 2018, and so I'm excited that I get to bring that element to this conversation too. But yeah, I've been doing comedy for 2 years and run a show called Stage Gap, which is where men get less time than everyone else. Which
I'm just going to go, yeah.
it's great. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me, and I'm in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay, I want to know a little bit more about you. I'm going to ask you, how has the marketing and your ability to persuade helped your comedy, and how does your comedy in turn help your marketing?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, the technical side of my marketing work has helped me run Zoom shows and Google Hangouts comedy workshops a lot better. So the organizational side, I find that comedy has taught me a lot more about writing that I didn't know. And having to take an idea down from a 2-minute rambling story at an open mic to just a 30-minute setup and punchline really quick. And literally having to listen to my own voice and realize how a joke sounds has taught me a lot about being really concise.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so you're already getting like Stage Gap is baller.
Thanks, Liz. That's my cousin.
Awesome.
She rocks.
Oh, yay. Hi, Liz.
She retrofits campers. You should follow her. It's like if you have adventure lust, then that is the account to follow. Yeah.
I feel like we've got the right group of people right
Oh,
now
yeah.
together. It's like lust for newness and adventure and life and
Yes.
expressing ourselves, which is great. So why is it important to try new things in marketing? Right? Because I think we're getting invited to, or either like gently or forcefully, passive aggressively invited to try new things. Like, why is it important to try new things in marketing?
Well, I wrote this down because I've been talking to retailers and small business owners for about 3 or 4 years now, and kind of do it on the side just for fun because I can't help myself because I want the little guy to win. I always want the little guy to win. That is my bias for. So I, at the risk of sounding a little dire, the world has changed now beyond any of our control, which I know that retailers are really feeling. I was walking my dog and ran into a retailer who owns a store, bungalow downtown in Durham, and just ran into her like socially distanced chat. And she's like, yeah, online orders, I don't know. It takes me like 2 hours to fulfill an order that's $15 of revenue for me. Like, why would I spend my time doing that? But what else can you do, And there's no rule books, there's no tech platforms, there's no like magic answer. And so I think it's not going to go back to normal. And I think that's kind of, I don't say that in a scary way. I really think that like your supply chain and your customers' lives and spending habits are going to be affected for quite a long time. And so, foot traffic, web traffic, it's all going to change in the way that people interact with you financially and just like emotional energy wise is going to change a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think if you were waiting for a sign to get out of your comfort zone, it is now. It's now. Jump on
Yes.
the boat now.
And what I love about it too is like everyone is on this like a boat of like everything's new and we're trying a bunch of things and we're all on an equal playing field where we don't know like WTF, like what is going on.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more forgiveness and there's a lot more of an expectation for play. Particularly because like what else is there?
Yeah.
Right? There's like,
Yes.
there's play, there's trying things. And if we don't acknowledge the fact that it's different, we're very, very out of aligned and very like out of pocket, right? Don't you think?
Yes. Yes. I think customers need a little bit more empathy than usual. I think it's weird to keep talking like nothing's changed. I think I actually went onto my Instagram and just unfollowed like 150 accounts because I'm just in information overload. I'm super stressed. I'm super anxious. I'm kind of in that fight or flight, like got my mask on, going to the grocery store, staying away from people. Like my brain is like a little hamster on a wheel all the time now.
Right.
And that's your customers too. And so like there's a difference between and right now I don't want to buy a lot and I certainly don't want to buy stuff online because of like how absolutely jammed like just the global supply chain is right now and how it kind of feels unethical to shop online for me because that hasn't been communicated well. Basically, we're kind of all in that headspace right now. And I unfollowed a lot of people that were just directly selling to me because I was like, I'm not going to be doing that for a long time.
Right. I think this like brings up a good point that I'm just going to pin for y'all. And, maybe Joanna and I won't explore it here, but she said something really important. She said supply chain. And like, that is something really, really important that when you have a lot of like maybe big corporate experience, or if you're a retailer that buys from a lot of vendors and you're shipping to a lot of places, supply chain is like really on the forefront of your mind. But this instinct to unfollow when things are really out of context, if we kind of marry that with the conversation I had with Jen from Sendle last week about building community, it's like, let's just get real for a holy hot second.
Yes.
And like, let's understand that it's fine for people to be like, no, peace out. And to get like snuggle up even closer to the ones that you love. Like all of that is totally, totally fine. Okay. So
retargeting. You can go retarget those people 6 months from now. Go hire a really smart web agency and go after them 6 months from now.
Okay, 6 months. Okay. I don't even know if I'm like writing all of these. 6 months from now.
Go bother them later. Yeah, Google will do that for you. Yeah, people who visited your website but didn't convert, go bother them a couple months from now.
Yeah, I love it. I told y'all we have a pro on here. For us that are like newer to the concept of marketing and content, and really persuading people to say like, hey, stick with me. Can you just like give us an overview, like a high level overview of like what content marketing actually means and like how an inventory based business might choose some more effective ways to create content for marketing?
Yeah, totally. So I'll start with the definition of marketing that I really love from Mike Pono, which is maybe a little bit too weedsy for a lot of retailers and makers who can be a little bit more tactical. This is for like B2B marketing, but it's basically to influence perception and change behavior. So marketing is not directly trying to push people towards sell. We're trying to influence their perception of a brand. Like, wow, I love this store because of how I feel when I go in there and I like how they talk, and change behavior. Oh, when I'm out running errands, I guess I'll go drive by there and pull over and maybe check out the store. And marketing, I believe the best kind of marketing is one that doesn't get in the way of your life at all. That offers the right message at the right time to the right person. It is the opposite of a billboard. It is actually helpful marketing.
Okay, so you gave me goosebumps. I have goosebumps. So, the two things that I really loved about what kind of how you contextualize that definition. And I believe this to be totally true as like marketers, because everyone that owns your business, you're a marketer, whether you embrace it or not, right? Like anyone.
Yep.
Is behavior shaping, because everything that we're doing shapes behavior, whether we realize it or want to or not. Like we are role models in some way, shape, or form. And that's where it can feel really, really risky, because not everyone wants to be in the limelight or in the spotlight.
Well, that's okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's fine, right? But the second thing I like that you said is having it feel seamless, like an eventuality, or oh, it was meant to be here, or to feel the absence of it. Like, oh, where'd that go?
Yes.
I really liked it so much. What happened to it? Okay, I love that.
That's why it's a craft, and that's why it's a full-time job that I've had for 8 years, is because doing that is very, very hard. It does not come naturally to people, especially people who are super awesome entrepreneurs or dreamers or doers. It's not their happy place, because it is finicky, it is behind the scenes, and it is a lot of small, tiny movements towards something bigger. And so a lot of friends of mine who are, big dreamers, thinkers, inventors, those types of people, this does not feel natural to do. And so if you are here because that does not feel natural to you, you are not alone. That is extremely common. I have hired myself as my boyfriend's manager. He is a musician, really talented musician. And he's like, ugh, I have to start a Patreon, but like, ugh. And I was like, you're exactly who I love to talk to, because you shouldn't like doing this. It should feel a little gross and annoying. And that is why you have to dedicate a little bit of a practice to it, because it does not come natural to creative people.
Oh my gosh, when you said tiny movements, it reminds me of like physical therapy. Like if you take a high performance athlete that has an injury, they understand the importance of physical therapy, but like, the tiny movements over and over and over again is like to the soul. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a merchant and an entrepreneur, a small business owner really, really well. Can you recommend like one or two types of content that is working really well right now?
Sure. So actually, I have a little list here of some content marketing done well in the wild. And I did define marketing, but just to clarify, content marketing is like a subcategory under marketing.
Yeah, talk about that too.
Yeah, which is, it is not pure social media posting about your sales or new inventory. That's not that. That's sales. Oh, somebody loved the physical therapy comparison. Yes, it's really good. Yeah, Chris is a great storyteller. So it's not, discounts, not that. It's about value that isn't directly tied to your product, which retailers go, what? When I talk about that, because it's, again, it feels tough, because right now you're going, oh my gosh, I'm sitting on all this product. Like I've got to move it, and everybody, my email inbox has never been a more miserable place to be in. I'm getting hit up by brands that I bought $5 of something from 7 years ago, and I'm like, excuse me, why are you talking to me right now? And they're like, dude, we have 40% off this thing, and I'm like, I don't want that anymore. It's not that. Content marketing would be hitting me up with a newsletter about 5 ways to keep your dog entertained when you're stuck indoors a lot, or it would be somebody going live on Instagram like this and offering educational content. This is content marketing. You are not selling us a webinar. You're not making us buy your consulting time right now. I'm not selling the software company that I work for. Like that's not even part of this conversation. This is just something that has independent value, but is connected to the 2 brands that we represent. Yeah, content marketing, I can't remember where I heard this story, but it's stuck in my brain, so I'll just share it really quickly, which is just content marketing is powerful because it's free. It's an equal exchange where you say, I am willing to give my email address, or I'm willing to spend my time on this Instagram Live in order to get something in return. And this is super powerful. Car dealerships, like car salespeople, actually do this a lot. And if you are in like high ticket value retail, this might actually be a big part of your marketing strategy, which is that car salesmen and women will go to vending machines and offer to just casually buy somebody a can of soda out of the vending machine. That's why there are vending machines in car dealerships, because people who get a free can of soda while they're talking about a $20,000 car are more likely to buy the car. What? Isn't that wild?
That is like another round of goosebumps.
It's
I'm a
weird.
sucker. I'm a sucker.
It's weird. I'm a sucker. I'm that dumb. I'm that crazy. Because I will go to a beautiful store, and if somebody chic hands me a glass of champagne, yeah, I'll stay for 20 minutes. You know, like that's who we are as people. And now with extra distance, content marketing is a huge way to buy that can of soda. It's a way to offer that glass of champagne where you say, hey, stay a while. I don't need anything from you. In fact, I'm going to give you something valuable for you without any expectation in return. And that you can just freely move about the space, the online space of, yeah, people are freaking out about this story. I know, I love that. Dude, consumer psychology is wild. And a lot of those things are probably about to change because our buying habits are about to change too. Anyway, super geeky fun. But that's content marketing in a nutshell, and why it's valuable and why it's especially valuable right now. And yeah, I do have those examples if we have time to get into them.
I love it. Okay, I'm just going to stop, though. I know we're going to take questions at the end. This one's a really good one. When you're looking to, so this is from Joshua Lee Martin.
Josh. Yes,
hey, Josh.
That's my buddy Josh, yeah.
When you're looking to either establish or refine a content marketing campaign, what are some key tips for those who find it unnatural?
Unnatural, yeah. Thanks, Josh. I would start small. Content marketing campaign already sounds really heavy and big.
I know.
I think, hey, little one.
I just whispered, go to daddy.
Go to daddy. See, I can't do that. You can't do this with children, but I do this with dogs, and I put them in a crate. Don't do that with your kids. But I did do that with my dog. Yeah, starting small. I think identifying the message that you want to share and a couple of like really modest goals around it. For instance, I happen to know that Josh has kind of like creative writing, like personal blogging kind of thing, maybe like a 3-part series, and with the expectation that maybe you'll get 10 people to sign up for your email newsletter or something super modest, and attach a little bit of social campaign, little blurb of social posting around each one of those 3 blog posts. Like, you can kind of think about it super, super small. What's the least amount of work that I have to do to kind of communicate the message that I want to share? And how can I do it? I love series. I love 3-part series because then people can jump in later, go back, and it's kind of this continuous thing where it doesn't feel like they're just being yelled at in a void. It kind of comes in a natural sequence of things, and understand and help people understand what you're asking of them. A clear call to action like, hey, now that you've read my blog post, why don't you sign up for my email newsletter for more content like this? Or if you're selling t-shirts, like, hey, if, I designed this t-shirt and you can buy it at the end of your blog post, and measuring those results. Keeping it super small, I think is key. I think people are like, I'm going to get 1,000 views on this, or every marketer has a nightmare story where some C-suite person comes in and goes like, make a viral video. That's like, it's like a meme for content marketers. It's like, it's like, can you make something viral? And I'm like, I don't know. Guess what term's going to go away? Viral marketing. We are not going to be saying that anymore after this.
Right.
Nobody's going to be talking about viruses after this. Okay.
Oh, right. Or even just like the phrase like social distancing is the worst phrase. Like, it's like all comes with like negative
awful.
PR.
Marketer
didn't come up with these
Yeah.
things. Yeah. I think what you said is like so extremely powerful. And I hope like if you're watching and taking notes, you really take this to heart. Make it easy for yourself. I think our tendency is to like word vomit everything. Like, I've got 9 things. I'm going to tell you 9 things. It's like, it is like way too much. Plus, if you hold some of it back, you've just made your job easier. You've like given yourself like 9 different things to talk about. And so I think like your recommendation, just to make it easy, make it simple, is like, y'all, she just saved you hours and hours and hours of heartache and work.
And something to think of, and I'll get into this later, but like, what does your audience want? Like, think about what you want. How many hours do you spend engaging with brands every day? Like 0. Like, you're tired. You're going to turn on Netflix like the rest of us You're going to be scrolling Instagram. You'll read a post if it is interesting to you. You might save something to watch for later, but you're tired. Like, ooh, responsible radius. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
good. Trademark that, Kelsey. Um, that's I just like keeping it as small as your audience's attention span right now, which if you think about it is about a 30-second video. It's about a post every couple of days. It's very small. And so you can also have the luxury of thinking very small right now too, which normally maybe you'd be putting more pressure on yourself to bombard a little bit more.
Oh God, I'm just writing this down, the luxury of thinking small. Thank you for that. Okay, so I want to go back. Samantha from Samantha Slater Studios asked a question early on. And since we're talking about like keeping it easy, being thoughtful, she was asking if you have any tips on attracting new customers. Um, because typically she does a lot of live, like connecting and a lot of like
Mhm.
live loving on people. And now that the show circuit is totally gone for makers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff. So who is this? This is a maker?
Yes, jewelry designer and maker.
Okay, sweet. So, so kind of specialty retail, like very beautiful, fine things. It's not just like buy, buy, buy. There's like stories behind it. You really want to connect with other people. I have two examples of brands that I've been admiring during this time that might be helpful to go check out on yourself. They will probably be able to speak, more through just their actions than I can. But Jedda's Tea, Jeddah, is a local brand here in Durham. They have a beautiful tea shop that they just opened a couple of months ago through a Kickstarter. Like, was this whole process, and now they're closed, and that's really tough. Morgan, who's one of the owners, is doing these really sweet tea time with Morgan little Instagram lives. They're like 8 or 9 minutes long. A lot of their tea comes from Somalia and different areas of Africa, and there are really neat stories behind the teas. And so she'll take the time to kind of unpack, like, here's the region that it's from, and here's details about it, and here's why this is special, which you could do with jewelry of like, here's the material that I chose, and here's the creative decisions that I made. For a jewelry studio, content that I personally would love is like how to take care of your jewelry,
Yes.
how to store your jewelry, DIY jewelry holders. You can kind of get into that headspace of like, can I go on live for like 3 minutes and offer a practical tip to people that, again, isn't directly connected to your product or buying it.
I love
So
it.
Jedda's Tea is a great example. And then the other one for a maker, I'm a crocheter, big time. And a brand that I've been in love with lately is, oh, thanks, y'all, is Amanda Love Santos, who is a crochet pattern designer. She sells written patterns, but also offers the YouTube tutorial version of those patterns for free. So I am
Nice.
a success story this week where I made one of her tops using a YouTube tutorial, and it's like an hour long. It's like, it's not rookie stuff, and it's very slow, and you kind of have to go back and kind of watch it. It was really helpful, and I was like, oh, I like how she designs patterns, and I went and bought a paid pattern.
I love
Um,
it.
so that's kind of that, and that was a pretty quick conversion. I converted in about 6 days of learning about her brand. So I think that kind of like pairing of like, what do you offer that isn't paid that could get somebody in, of like, the real life application of that is like how to make your own jewelry out of paper clips at home, and kind of joke about that of like where people can get familiar with how to make jewelry and then appreciate what you do all the more and be more likely to buy your product. So, yeah.
And I think the difference between that and a demonstration is that you're just showing someone. And by showing
Mm-hmm.
someone, you're selling rather than this is how you use my pencil. To buy my
Right.
pencil, go here, right? It's like
Right.
it is a
Mm-hmm.
subtle difference, but it's so extremely brilliant and powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, so we know that like we're taking risks, we're trying new things, and we're like resisting every urge that has been taught to us by some like outdated marketing strategy of offering a discount, of selling, 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 like all of that. So if like we are just now becoming accustomed to trying things before we measure, before we hire someone smart to like
Mm-hmm.
take us through our business physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
How have you, just as a persuader, come to like calculate what's worth it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this question of like, what's worth it? What's worth the risk? Like, how
Yeah.
do you do that even in your marketing work or in your comedy work?
Yeah. It was fun reflecting on that because my number one thing that I talk about all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time is your audience. The number one thing that makes a worthwhile risk is your audience. Their emotions, their needs, what keeps them safe, and what they have the capacity for right now, like we were talking about earlier. Like, who is reading your personal blog? Who is going to buy your jewelry? And who could be buying your jewelry? What are you assuming about those people that might not be true? I think retailers kind of generalize and they go like, Susie Sanderson is my typical customer. You know, she makes over 50K a year. She's in her 40s, and this is the type of buyer that she is. She loves discounts, you know, da 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 da. That's who Susie is. That's who I'm selling to. And if you notice, a lot of people who sell to Susies are Susies. And maybe you think you're selling to a Priya. Maybe you think you're selling to a young 20-something who lives in Seattle and works for Amazon and has these types of buying habits and expects to be able to pick up locally and place orders online. And, oh, that's just how Priya orders. And so I'm just going to design my entire strategy around that one type of imagined person who
Yeah.
is actually you. So look in the mirror, look in the mirror, and that's probably who you might accidentally be selling to. And you might be operating under a lot of kind of mistaken identities in your brain because you are just thinking about what you personally would want. I do not act like a lot of millennials, except I do eat avocado toast and I'll probably never own a home because the economy is a joke. But but other than that, I love shopping in person. I don't actually enjoy shopping online a lot. The only times that I do shop online are when I need a different size than something in store or whatever. But I thrift a lot. I prefer shopping with co-ops and worker-owned, like collaborative business structures. I'm a big geek about that. So I'm a weirdo. I haven't bought anything on Amazon for a while. So I am not a Propel customer. Our Propel customers are engineers who may have been working in product management, product design for 20 or 30 years and using who have been designing products on computers before the internet was existing. So hey Natalie, the way that I behave is not the way that my audience behaves. So oh my gosh. Yeah, and think about what your audience needs and wants right now. I was planning a webinar. This talk about a risk that went wrong. I was planning this webinar. I was like, ooh, I want it to be super urgent. I want it to be like really edgy. Like I'm gonna call it Survival of the Nimblest. And it was planned for mid-March. And then all the shutdown stuff started happening, and I was like, So we changed it really quickly to be called Thriving in the Digital Transformation Age because that's what the audience would resonate with. So if you don't know your audience well, a little takeaway for me is like Instagram polls and open questions. Instagram Stories has a lot of good features for that. Twitter and Facebook polls. And keep in mind not to exhaust them, like maybe max once a week. Don't just be surveying people all the time or they'll get bored. But yeah, this is a great time to find out about your audience. Yeah.
You said something really important around like, don't sell to yourself. And I think it takes a lot of like a deep love for like what your values are and a deep love for like what you're actually doing to separate yourself from who you're selling to. Plus also, if you were your customer, you either wouldn't have started the business or your customer would have started it instead. And that's like the very first, like, nope, you're not your customer.
That's good.
Right?
I'll write that down. That's good. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And like removing yourself from the ego piece of it in order to take the risk. 'Cause I find that like when I've been scared to risk take, it's because I'm afraid to look like a fool. But if my biggest concern is looking like a fool, I have not figured out how to like serve my highest purpose or do the thing that I really need to be doing because I'm just like so self-consumed with
Yes.
failure. So like just get over it. It'll be fine. It's par for the
Yeah,
course,
and it's not
right?
about you. Yeah, it's if any kind of marketing rejection was personal before, it has totally become impersonal. Like me just mass unfollowing 200 people. Like, sorry, but that's just where I'm at right now. Like, it really isn't personal right now. So you almost have more space to take risks than
Right.
before.
Yeah.
I do have a little note about the comedy side of that,
Yes,
which
please.
is, well, it's kind of interesting because there are a lot of different types of rooms that I do comedy in, did comedy in, maybe shall do comedy in again. But kind of these, there's like a traditional comedy club with a 2-drink minimum and a big crowd. There's the basement dive bar with the 3 people at the bar yelling at you the whole time. There's the super feminist progressive room at the queer bar where people are going to laugh about super specific jokes about that community. So I think staying true to my own voice is tough, especially having a lot of like niche, like homeschooler and religion content that some people don't understand or find offensive. Has been a really interesting journey for me with like being okay with myself, of like, am I okay getting rejected by everybody except for the one girl that comes up to me afterwards and goes like, thank you, that was for me, am I okay with that? And some days I am and some days I am not, and that's okay too. But I think adjusting what jokes I do for the rooms while also staying true to what I actually want to do in that set, because I won't because your audience can't be everybody. I just built a marketing request form for my company that said, asks the requester to provide the audience that their requested content will be for. And I said, I can't accept a request that say everybody on it.
Right.
Because what am I going to do? How am I going to write that? I don't know. So a takeaway from this whole section of this conversation, I would say if you don't have a 1-page profile written down of your like 1 to 3 target customer types, this can be a great time to do that. I actually have a great Shopify blog post that I found that outlines how to do that pretty simply. And so I can share that with you so you can circulate that afterwards. But
awesome.
Get some markers, doodle it out, let go of your assumptions about who the people are that you're selling to. And I think understanding them a little bit better will take away a lot of the feeling of risk in taking a marketing chance.
I love it, because a lot of the risk, I often say that doing anything creative, being a small business owner, any of this, being an entrepreneur, is really not you versus the market or you versus the competition. It's you versus you. It's like really what it comes down to almost always. It's you versus you. And I found in these kinds of exercises, it's like just as important to say like, it is not. It will not be this. It does not feel like this. It is not for this. It's just as powerful, because like, I don't know about you, Joanna, or you, Merchant, but like, I'm stubborn. And I need to experience it for myself. No amount of the best advice will help me understand it until I trip over myself. And then I'm like, oh, I got it. And a lot of that in hindsight is like, oh, it's not that. And so sometimes that helps me figure out the risk piece. And then from like probably like a really pragmatic perspective, which is probably a different conversation. And it goes back to like what Joanna said earlier, is this whole concept of supply chain and the idea of continuity. So if y'all are really bumping into like financial risk, now is the time to stop siloing the operations or the strategy of your business. Like what you do now is going to have impact 18 months from now. So like now's the time to start connecting the dots. But I'm just going to get off that horse.
Yeah, that's like the next one that you should do, is the supply chain piece. I can't speak to that, but it's a good one, because I think we all had this moment of like, it's a blip. And then it's definitely not a blip. It's not a blip. Yeah.
No, it's like an end-to-end situation.
And again, I mean, I'm just having a little Goodwill Hunting moment inspired by my friend Johanna, but just looking people and going, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Like, the economy was not set up for you to win. Like, you've always been fighting a special, unique game in a rigged system, personal opinion. And this is really difficult, and this is happening not because of you, and you're being affected and not supported as you should be. Like, you are not supposed to magically figure this out on your own. the grants that are being gobbled up and being allocated to different, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
I love that. Honestly, I really, really love that. I was
Yeah,
listening
it's
to
because it's not.
right. I was listening to a podcast from another marketer, Donald Miller, and he was talking about that
I
in
love Donald. Yeah.
particular. Yeah, I was talking about that in particular. Or it was talking about that in particular. So I think the piece of that really speaks to like the experimenting, the trying a bunch of things, the not feeling like you have to follow what everyone else is doing, because it really isn't about anyone other than the next person
Mm-hmm.
who's going to connect with you and stay with you and place an order, and the next person that you're going to love up on, like really. And so like if ever there was a time to stop worrying about the analytics of others, or like the fear of missing a trend, there is no trend.
Yep.
There's like legitimately
No.
not going to be a trend for quite some time. You know, there's channels that people are trying, and there's, you know, but if you want to stop like and just like really
Yeah.
focus in and hone in, like go on with your bad self, because it's a good time for that.
Yeah.
So as we like round the corner on, I have to have you back, because you've got like you're just dropping a lot of like nuggets,
I'd love
like
to
a
be.
lot of
Yeah.
nuggets. There is a performative nature, right? There's a performative nature to, even if you're shy or like not naturally a performer, there's something about putting yourself out there humbly and just saying like, okay, what do you want? Tell me more. Am I, whatever, am I combing your hair right? Do you like your hair? You know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Whatever it is.
the ultimate
Do you
hostess.
like what I'm doing?
Yeah, do
And
you like
if
me?
not, do you like me?
Yeah. There's like
I mean,
some version of that.
talk about yeah, I've definitely done some just weird jokes to a totally silent room, and weird jokes that feel like a really big part of who I am and like what I find funny, what I find tickles me, and just doing it to a room of people who are like, I don't want this, I don't want you, please leave, and looking at them, looking back at me, not wanting what I'm doing. It is a bizarre feeling. The first couple of times you do it and you bomb, you know, everybody thinks they understand the concept of bombing, and you probably do, but when you're up there and you're feeling it happen, it is such a bizarre experience to recognize, like, this is extremely personal. Like, they really don't like what I'm putting down, but also this just isn't for them. Like, I am not for them, and that is okay.
Yeah.
It is really weird. And the more you do it, and I wrote this down, I wanted to say it, the more you take risks, the more you put yourself out there, the easier it gets. But I'm an extrovert. It's easy for me to say that. Yeah, a lot of people are introverts, and it's very it can feel like way crazy to put yourself out there. Get, again, tiny small steps. Show your face once a month, and do that, and see people say sweet things to you and encourage you, and see 10 people watch your video, and that they're all people that you know and trust and love. You know, I think taking tiny little toe dips into the river and seeing that nobody's going to come bite your toe off can be really helpful.
Yeah, I think I like what you said, even if it's once a month, right? Like anyone can have their own frequency for how you want to put yourself, like, quote unquote, out there, whether that's like sending an email or saying, I'm going to give you something that I hope is really valuable, and hopefully you'll give me back your email address, or
Right.
whether it's doing something like a live like this. I feel like it's almost like writing a business plan or doing your very first financial plan. That's all like perfectly fine, and like you can admire it, but then at some point you have to like put it out in the universe, because
You
we're
have to poke
merchants.
it and see if it'll break. Yeah.
Right. And like you need someone to engage with it, like anybody to engage with it, or having the ability to read between the lines. Like I've, like you have been like in front of like 50 or 60 people, and I'm like, I am getting no vibe from anybody.
Yep.
And part of the way that this hour is going to unfold is I need a vibe
Yeah.
to understand where to take it. And I think there's like a couple of different learning curves to untangle, right? There's the like, I don't like this, I'm uncomfortable. And then there's the like the behavioral aspect of the putting yourself out there. And then there's the actual like, what are you actually putting out there? And I think it's so easy to lump them all together.
Yeah.
Which is maybe where you excel really well, because you can go in and dissect. These are the things that need a little bit of tweaking, or being able to separate. Like, I'm going through this normal process. Joanna and I were DMing each other. Like, I always get a little bit nervous before these things. Like, and that's just like normal. Like, I have a process, and my process starts at like right at about 9 before a 10 o'clock live. I do a weird thing, and I do my weird thing, and I fidget and I get nervous. But that's just like par for the course. So I like, you know, putting yourself out there. Let's just talk about like hecklers, and like let's really talk about like haters and people that like really invest their own personal time to say things that are not of value.
Can you imagine like having a vendetta against a jewelry brand? That is so funny to me. Like, what a loser. What a loser. How funny. Like, that is such a fun, like, to me, just as a writer and a comic, like, that is a funny person that I want to like write about. Like, who are you? You know, not in like a, you know, drinking beers after work, talking about the annoying coworkers kind of way, but like genuinely what made you, you know, just, I think my advice going off of what we were just talking about and talking about dealing with hecklers and haters is like, whatever feels the most personal and intimate and scary to you, especially in marketing and dealing with your public facing brand, is to depersonalize it and automate it. Like, go beep, boop, borp, I am a robot, and take your own time to go do some journaling about it on the side. But when it comes to just managing your business, like, delete, block, mute, like, get those people out of your life because they're never going to buy anything. If you want to, if maybe you have a sassy sticker brand where it would be funny and look good for your brand to fire back at that person, go for it. But I mean, if you're just trying to live your life, like, get rid of those people. I think having some sort of social management platform like a Hootsuite or Sprout or whatever, there's all these sorts of tools where you can just be like, this is my Instagram comments inbox, and I'm going to reply or mark those as read. I'm going to answer these Twitter replies, or I'm going to delete them and block them, just kind of depersonalizing it as almost like a task list instead of interacting with who you are. Automating stuff like that. If you feel scared about going on camera and you're afraid about getting rejected, like, put it in your calendar as a 15-minute sassy sticker brand. I don't know, I want to be a sassy sticker brand. I just think there's a lot of power in being administrative about things. I talk about that a lot in B2B marketing, is how can we make this administrative? Instead of come to my webinar, it's like, join us for this quick coffee break, quick task questions. We're just going to be taking your questions. It's administrative. Can you make sure to add this to your calendar instead of come to this, you know? And so treating yourself that way too, is like, I'm going to be administrative. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so if you all have a question, click the little question mark box and type in your question, because while we've got Joanna for the last few minutes, if you have a question, let's see if we can blitz through them. I think when you were talking about that keyword of being administrative, I think of it like, has anyone ever been to a shopping mall for trick-or-treating? That thing's like a holy hot mess. It's like kids everywhere, and for some reason, no one has manners, and everyone's just like grabbing. Like, I've been to multiple commercial places in the city of Seattle, and like, there's not a whole lot of manners. And I've been there as a parent, like, horrified. I've been there as a retailer, horrified, right? Like, it's kind of crazy. And, you know, I use that analogy a lot, in that you absolutely can, and it's important to say, hey, like, let's get in line. And you as a person with the candy can decide, like, is there like a crying baby or someone that's in a wheelchair and that really needs some inclusion? You can move people to the front of the line. It does not have to be every single person gets equal time. Like, that's not inclusion, particularly if you've got like a loud screaming someone that is really throwing off the whole vibe or the whole game or the whole situation of what the spirit of trick-or-treating is. Like, we don't need to address the loudest crier and the rudest person. And so, like, I like to think of it like, just manage your trick-or-treat line.
Yeah, the way that you want to. I think I had a really interesting conversation with a C-suite person at a tech company once, who was just asking for my advice about hiring women intentionally, and was just like, you know, people who have trouble with the concept of inclusion always invent the wildest pretend scenarios that never happen. But he was like, what if there were these two candidates who looked exactly the same on paper? Would never happen. But these two candidates who look exactly the same on paper, they're exactly the same amount qualified, but one of them's a guy and one of them's a girl. Like, what do I do? And I was like, this will never happen to you. But two, like, it's your own business. And like, you get to create, I mean, we're all trying to create a better world together. There's a reason that you're selling. There's a reason that you're creating and developing what you're developing. You have a point of view. And like, if you are honest with yourself about like pay disparity in the Bay Area, and if you understand like inclusion, you can go ahead and hire the woman for that job. Like, and nobody, who's going to care? Nobody. It's just a private choice that you made for yourself. I don't know. When you get to create the world that you want to create, and I know that it does not feel like that right now because everything's kind of feels like it's against you, but damn, yeah, the trick-or-treating thing, like, you get to create how you interact with people, and you get to say, no, loud commenter, you just don't get to be here anymore.
Right.
And you're not a public forum. You're not a Greek philosophy convention. Like, nobody, this course, not on my brand page. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. I love it. Oh my God, I love it. Okay. So I'm going to try and like encapsulate some of these nuggets, but Joanna, like being the amazing writer that she is, has offered to recap with a post all the nuggets that she's dropped. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to reach out to all of you.
Verbal processors unite.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to reach out to all of you to make sure that you know when that's available. I've been taking some notes, but some of the things that I have heard and learned and I'm like taking away is that we have the luxury to think smaller, and not by playing small or being smaller, but smaller in terms of like what we put out there from a content marketing relationship development perspective. Like, just like let it be easy, that it can feel more natural and intuitive, right? Like that those are the things that's a luxury, and she's just given us permission. Though we've had it all along, we have the official on yellow paper permission from Joanna. The other thing is to like really, my other big takeaway was to really challenge our assumptions around who we think our like customer is, what we think they have on their mind, and just like ask and totally be open to the feedback, whether that feels risky or not. Right? So like just ask and listen. And I really love, I don't know how I'm going to use this in my life, but have mercy, I love this vending machine car delership thing.
I know. It gets stuck in your head and you can't stop thinking about it because it's so wild. Yeah.
So that is like amazing. How can our merchants find you and connect with you? Because you have written a lot and you're like a wealth of information. You are an awesome advocate and you're funny as hell. How can people find you?
Y'all are welcome to follow me. I come with a stamp that I just post about crocheting and politics all the time. But if you're into that and that's what you want, you can follow me. Best place to find me for business advice or following up with me would be LinkedIn. So just find me, Joanna Rutter. That would be the best place to find me. I know that's corny, but that is the best place to find me.
I love it. You pick your channels and you stick to them. So thank you so much, Joanna, for joining us today. It's been amazing. If y'all haven't checked out the interview with Sendel last week, that they're really good partners. And then I will be here next week, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about like, if you don't want to move forward and be this like forward moving, like how to say it's okay to take a break and move a little slower. So I'll be here next week. Thanks. You're amazing. Bye,
You're
Joanna.
amazing. This has been so great. Thank you so much to everybody who's been in the comments and saying really sweet things and asking great questions. This is really special.
Absolutely. For me too. Like literally you person writing, commenting, Sendel, like all y'all, I wrote down who you are, like attendance. It definitely would not be the same here without you. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.